welcome to the training for the Salvation Cards, the Christmas version. For this object lesson, you're going to start with your cards in order. Notice on the red side, there are numbers on the one corner. This will tell you what order to put your cards in. It's important that your cards are in order before you begin your object lesson. Now there's a couple different ways that you can present this. You can do it laying it out on a table like I have here. You could be on the floor, or if you're with a larger group, you could have kids hold the cards. If they're holding the card, you want to make sure they're holding it close to their chest so they can't see the back and they're not going to show it by accident. You're going to start by laying down the cards on order in front of you. You could be on the table or you could be on the floor. It's very possible that you might not have enough space to lay out all 9 cards. If that's the case, feel free to overlap them a little bit so that way you can still see the letter, but that'll make sure that you have the space that you need. For instance, if I were to put this here, I can put the A right here, so that way they're taking up less space. But in this case, I do have enough space, so I'm going to put a little space in between each word and each letter, so that way we can read what the full thing says. So as I'm putting this out, I can spell it for the kids, so that way I know that they understand what it means, and we can ask if they do understand what it means. After this, you're going to start flipping over every other card, starting with the second one. Essentially all the even cards, the A, the V, the T, and the O. When I flip over the A, I have a picture of the present. This, I'm going to talk about how some people like Christmas because they get to receive and to give gifts. I'm going to take this card, and I'm going to put that one away. Then I'm going to pick up the next one. Some people think it's about ornaments and Christmas decoration like Christmas trees or a nativity. I'm going to put this one off to the side. Then I'm going to flip over this one and talk about how some people think it's about a guy who comes down a chimney and gives gifts on Christmas Eve. We are not going to spend much time on Santa. It is up to the parents of whether or not these children believe in Santa or not. We are not going to decide either way. If a child does ask us, is Santa real? Then we will refer to the parents and say, ask your mom or dad. The last picture is behind the O, and that's going to be a bell and some music notes. For this one, there's a couple of things that you can talk about. You can talk about how people like to sing Christmas carols or Christmas songs. You can talk about traditions that families like to do, like maybe baking cookies or opening some gifts on Christmas Eve. But all of these things don't have to do with the real meaning of Christmas. Now you have your second word all the way up here, but we don't want them to see that yet. So I'm going to leave my cards spread out, and I'm going to put them together as I flip them over. So I'm going to start by flipping over the S, and I'm going to get that J. Notice how I'm moving it over a little bit so I can kind of stay centered here. And then I can flip over the E. That's kind of stay where it is. I'm going to flip over the A, shift that a little bit, and the I, and the N. Now I have Jesus up on the table. This is where you are going to insert your gold page. During the gold page, you are going to talk about how Jesus loves them, John 3:16. Talk about how God, Jesus, He is perfect, and that He made you. And we're going to give some examples of what He made. After that, you're going to flip them over, and you're going to mention sin here, mention the dark page. We're going a little bit out of order for this one, and you're going to skip ahead to the red page. As you're talking through the red page, we now have the word slain in front of us. We can talk about with the word slain, how Jesus was slain, or He died for you. He died for the child that you're talking to. He shed His blood for the child that you're talking to. You're going to read 1 Corinthians 15:3 and 4. And then you'll be able to talk about how Jesus, He not only died, but 3 days later, He came back to life, and He is alive today. And He did this because He loves you. You're going to pick up the L at this point, L for love. You're also going to pick up the A, and you're going to give a hint to the end of the presentation saying how you can ask to be with God in heaven and to have a relationship with Him. Then I'm going to bring the S over, and now I have sin written out. Now we're going to focus on sin and go through the dark page points. We're going to define sin. We're going to give examples. We're going to talk about how all have sin and read Romans 3:23. And the punishment for sin, it is death. After this, you're going to go for the S in the end. We can talk about how there are those who are saved, who have believed in Jesus, and their sins have been forgiven. And maybe the child you're talking with is saved, and you can reference that there. But there's also those who are not saved. And that's what the end is going to stand for. Then you're going to pick up the I, talk about how I want you to believe in Jesus, and end with, you're going to flip it, will you believe in Jesus today? After this, you're going to continue with the clean page as you usually would. So you can read John 1:12 and go through what that verse means. You're going to give your invitation, will you believe in Jesus today, using those words, will you? And if they say yes, you're going to go back and review what you just talked about by asking questions, make sure that they understand, and then have the child pray, tell God what you believe, have them pray, and then have them go and tell somebody else what they just did. And if you have time, you can go over the green page points as well. We are excited that you are learning how to do this object lesson, and we hope that it is impactful in the life of the children you are with.